Today is Saturday, the 12th of March, 1938. The time is 11:45 at night, here in London. Good evening to you all. London Signal, broadcasting live on the shortwave frequency. I am broadcasting to you tonight to report the death of a nation. It is not often that a country disappears from the map in a single afternoon. Usually nations die slowly. They fight, they bleed, they struggle. But today, the Republic of Austria did not fight. It did not bleed. It simply opened its doors, invited the murderer inside, and offered him a cup of coffee and a slice of cake. As I speak to you now, the independent state of Austria has ceased to exist. It is now merely a province of the German Reich. The birthplace of Mozart and Schubert is now a barracks for the SS. It happened with a speed that has left the diplomats in London breathless. Just yesterday, Chancellor Schuschnigg of Austria went on the radio in Vienna. His voice was shaking. He told his people that he was resigning to prevent the shedding of German blood. He ended his broadcast with 3 words that sounded like a prayer spoken into a void. God save Austria. Well. It seems God was busy elsewhere today. Or perhaps he just wasn't listening. At dawn this morning, the barriers at the border were lifted. And the German 8th Army rolled across the frontier. Now here is the part that is truly sickening. Here is a part that makes you question the sanity of the human race. We expected resistance. We expected shots to be fired. We expected the Austrian army to defend their homeland. Instead, we saw a carnival. The German tanks were not met with bullets. They were met with flowers. Girls of Salzburg and Linz ran out into the streets to throw carnations onto the Panzer Bay. They climbed onto the tanks and kissed the soldiers. The church bells rang. The crowds cheered. They were welcoming their invaders as if they were long-lost brothers returning home from a journey. Hitler crossed the border this afternoon. He visited his birthplace in Brugge. He stood in the open car, his arm raised, accepting the adoration of the people he has just enslaved. P was crying, tears of joy running down the face of a dictator as he swallowed a sovereign state whole without firing a single shot. They are calling it the War of Flowers. But do not let the flowers fool you. Underneath the petals there is a rot that smells of the grave. While the cameras were filming the cheering crowds in the main squares, something very different was happening in the back streets of Vienna. Something so cruel, so petty, so degrading that it makes one ashamed to be a European. I have just received a telephone report from a colleague in Vienna. He is a hardened journalist, a man who has seen wars and riots, but his voice was trembling with disgust. He told me about the scrubbing. Parties. This afternoon, groups of Austrian Nazis wearing swastika armbands went into the Jewish neighborhoods. They dragged Jewish men and women out of their shops and their homes. Old men with white beards, women in their finest coats, intellectuals, doctors, musicians. They forced them to kneel on the pavement, and they gave them toothbrushes. Yes, toothbrushes. And acid. They made them scrub the political slogans of the old Austrian government off the sidewalks. And the crowd, the good Catholic citizens of Vienna, did they look away in shame? Did they help their neighbors? No. They stood around in a circle and laughed. They jeered. They kicked the old men while they were on their knees. They spat on the women. My colleague told me he saw a young boy no older than 10 urinating on the head of an elderly rabbi. while the crowd cheered him on. This is the new culture that Germany has brought to Austria. It is not the culture of Goethe or Beethoven. It is the culture of the gutter. It is the mob unleashed. I keep thinking about Sigmund Freud tonight. The father of psychoanalysis. A man who has spent his life trying to understand the human mind. He is sitting in his apartment at Burgers 19 right now. He's 81 years old. He is frail. He is Jewish. I wonder if he is looking out of his window at the mob below and realizing that all his theories about civilization were just a thin veneer over a savage animal. The police have already confiscated his passport. The Gestapo is at his door. The greatest mind in Vienna is now a prisoner in his own study. And what of the Church? What of the Vatican? Austria is a deeply Catholic country. Surely the Cardinal would speak out against this pagan invasion. I have the report here. Cardinal Annexes, the Archbishop of Vienna, has ordered all the churches in the city to ring their bells in honor of Hitler. He has signed a declaration welcoming the Anschluss ending with the words, Heil Hitler. The church has blessed the tank. The cross has bowed down to the swastika. Art is a betrayal of the spirit that is absolute. And the world. What are we doing in London and Paris while a country vanishes? We are doing nothing. Absolutely nothing. Mussolini, the dictator of Italy, had promised for years to protect Austria. He had moved troops to the Brenner Pass before to stop Hitler. But today, Mussolini sent Hitler a telegram. It said simply, Austria does not interest me at all. He sold his neighbor for a quiet life. And here in London, the Prime Minister is telling us that this is an internal German affair. AG. He says that the Austrians are Germans, really, and they seem happy to be reunited. He is trying to rationalize a crime because he is too afraid to confront the criminal. We are watching a predator eat, and instead of stopping him, we are discussing his table manners. Tonight, the map of Europe has changed, but the German Reich now stretches from the Baltic Sea to the Alps. It surrounds Czechoslovakia on 3 sides. If you look at the map, Czechoslovakia now looks like a head inside a lion's mouth. I spoke to a Czech diplomat an hour ago. He sounded like a man who has just been told he has a terminal illness. He said, we are next. And he is right. Hitler has learned a valuable lesson today. He has learned that he can take a country by telephone. He has learned that if he screams loud enough and threatens violence, the walls of Jericho will simply fall down without a fight. The suicide of Austria is complete. It was not a murder. It was a voluntary submission. The victim opened the door and invited the vampire in. Tomorrow morning, the sun will rise over Vienna. Cafes will open. The waiters will serve coffee and sacerdote art. The orchestras will play waltzes by Strauss. It will look like the same beautiful city, but it is a lie. The soul of Vienna died this afternoon on the pavement with a toothbrush in its hand. This is the London signal. I am going to play some Mozart now. Listen to it carefully, because it is the sound of a ghost. Good night.